Alright guys, this is some of the work that I've gotten done in the past week over spring break, and I just wanted to share it with you. I have a database. I think I've mentioned this before. I have a database on GoDaddy, and I've made a table for comments. It's really easy to upload the SQL file that Kyle created onto this for the schema if we decide to do that. I thought that we should probably get going with a database that we can all have access to. This would be just like having a local database on your own machine. You can test on it with access to it just the same as you can on your own machine, and then we can also look at each other's work while testing on the database instead of it being hosted locally on our own machines. So I thought that might be a solution for that. The database is right here. I can make credentials for you guys if that's the route you'd like to go to check things out. So right here I have a user comment. Oh, looks like somebody is playing with it right now, which is cool. I see 2 new comments here. So this is the database. The table is user comment. Access is really simple. I did have to write 2 PHP files, or I'm sorry, 4 PHP files to gain access to the database from an Xcode project, and those are browsable under Sox web service. And I'll put all this in a Google Doc for us so that we can review it. The API includes new comment, and that's just basically, and you can actually edit PHP right in GoDaddy, which is pretty sweet. You just highlight it, code editor, and that gives you a PHP browser. And I can go through all this code with you in class on Tuesday. So that's that file. And then there's 3 similar files, just some database access files, some configuration files, things like that. And those are really simple to get to. I thought that PHP was something that we could use as a fallback if Play wasn't working for us, if it turned out to be too difficult to digest for us. We do have these PHP files set up, and these are files set up for pushes, so that will upload data to the database from an iPhone app, and these service files are necessary to do that. You need something in between, hence the name application interface. So those are those 3 files. The only other complex one is this one, and that you can see there. Like I said, I'll go over these with you on Tuesday. These are pretty basic. This is just a connection file where it takes what you've entered in for those credentials from your config file, and that is right there. And then those are credentials that I can set up for you. Actually, those will probably stay the same, but to access the database, I'll give you credentials to sign on to that. Okay, now on to the, here's the database. As I said, it looks like somebody's added a couple entries here to it, which shows success, but I'll take you through it anyway. We're going to go to Xcode. So this is just the storyboard here. Simple text box, simple button. There's a couple things that you're going to need to do to make this button work. The database is not secured, and so there's something that when you pull that Xcode project up of GitHub, you're going to have to access this info.plist and add this app transport security setting, and then after you've added that, and you simply, it's autocomplete, so just type it APP space TR, and that will come up with a slew of settings that autocomplete in there for you. After you do that, hit this, and that gives you a drop down, and then add, hit your plus here. That'll give you another drop down here, and I think this one here comes up automatically. Allow arbitrary loads, and that lets you bypass the security settings set up automatically for Xcode. So we're going to go back to the storyboard now. If any of this is not clear, I will revisit it in class on Tuesday, like I said. So we have text box button, and then in our view controller, that's pretty basic stuff here, although it did take quite a long time to figure out how to get all this to work together. It does now work, so we've moved on past that. And I'm not positive, but I think that if we do decide to stay with play, it generates JSON files, and we're just simply parsing JSON files with this, with what is generated with our API with play, or what's generated with our API with something else. In this instance, it was PHP. So now I'm going to demonstrate the app. Play here, and it takes a second to get fired up, as you may know. So this is the URL where these files reside. This is the new comment file, which does all the work on the back end, and that is, let's see, right, that's in API, so that file is right here. So we simply use a URL to point at that file on, this is the URL in this, on my where the database resides is hardbooter.org, and then it's got a path after that, and that takes you to that. Let's go back to Xcode here. Here is this. I'm going to say it's springtime and getting warmer. User ID, that'll be linked by our foreign key, I would think, somehow. Right now I'm just going to put in user ID 44, and I don't have this centered right now, but that's easily done. And then save comment, and that sends the comment to our database, wherever it may be. And so I'll refresh on this, and we should have a result. There we go. It's springtime and getting warmer, user ID 44. And that's about it. I will see you Tuesday at class. In the meantime, I'm going to work on credentials for the database, so we can have we can all have access to that. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in class.